Hello, everybody. Welcome to Israel's Church of Living God. I'm Brother Rodney, and Brother Caleb will be reading today. We'll be doing a lesson entitled, Love Worketh No Ill to His Neighbor. Love worketh no ill to his neighbor. This lesson is primarily about how we are to treat our neighbors and each other. You know, especially as being servants of God. We should know how to treat each other, because this is a part of our walk too. Not just, you know, keeping the commandments and keeping the laws and everything, but this is a part of our walks too. You know, like the fruit of the Spirit. So, you know, and this is something that, you know, we all have to work on. We all have to work on this. And so, you know, I just thought maybe we could do this lesson. We should do this lesson again, because I like to even be reminded myself of how I'm supposed to conduct myself too. Okay, so we're going to start this off in Matthew, the 22nd chapter, Matthew 22. And we're going to pick it up at verse 34. We've done this lesson maybe, I guess, about 2 years ago or so. Almost 2 years ago. So we have Matthew 22 and 34. Matthew 22 and 34. Everybody got it?
Amen.
Go ahead and read.
But when the Pharisees had heard that he had put the Sadducees to silence, they were gathered together. Then one of them, which was a lawyer, asked him a question, tempting him and saying,
You know, because, you know, Jesus was always putting them to silence. You know, now here comes a lawyer. He's supposed to be the smart guy, you know. He coming to tempt Jesus. You know, the lawyers, they were versed in the law. Okay, so now he coming to tempt Jesus now. Go ahead and read.
36.
Uh-huh.
Master, which is the great commandment in the law?
Uh-huh.
Jesus said unto him, Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart,
Uh-huh.
and with all thy soul,
Go ahead.
and with all thy mind.
Go ahead.
This is the first and great commandment.
This is the first and great commandment. Go ahead and read. What's the next one?
And the second is like unto it.
Uh-huh.
Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself.
Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. Thou shalt love thy neighbor, because we're supposed to treat our neighbors like we treat ourselves, don't we?
Teach.
Read that verse 40. Go ahead.
On these two commandments hang all the law and the prophets.
He said, on these two commandments hang all the law and the prophets. You understand? You know, if you love your neighbor, you're not going to steal from your neighbor, are you? If you love your neighbor, you're not going to commit adultery with his wife. You understand what I'm saying? And we're going to get down into this. We're going to get down into this. Let's go to James, the second chapter. James 2, and we're going to pick up at verse 8. James 2 and 8. James 2 and 8. When you get it, go ahead and read. James 2 and 8. Go ahead.
If ye fulfill the royal law according to the scripture, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself.
Oh, you see what James went back to the law, didn't he? He said, if you fulfill the royal law according to the scripture, what's the scriptures? From Genesis to Malachi, right?
Yes, sir.
Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. He went back to the law. Now, you know, if James, this is way after Jesus died, ain't it?
It is.
So why is he going back to the law then, if it was done away with it? Go ahead and read, though.
Yes, sir. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. Ye do well.
Go ahead.
But if ye have respect to persons, ye commit sin.
Ooh. But if you have respect to persons, you commit sin. Go ahead and finish that.
And are convinced of the law as transgressors.
Now, so James went back to the law, didn't he? So we're going to go back to where he went to. We're going back to the law. Let's go to Leviticus, the 19th chapter. Leviticus 19. And we're going to pick it up at verse 11. Leviticus 19 and 11. Leviticus 19 and verse 11. Go ahead and read that.
Ye shall not steal,
Uh-huh.
neither deal falsely, neither lie one to another.
See, because if you love your neighbors, you love you. You don't steal from yourself, do you? You understand? You might trick yourself here and there, but for the most part, you don't lie to yourself. If something is real, then it's real, ain't it? And most times we're honest with ourselves, aren't we?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead and read.
Verse 12.
Uh-huh.
And ye shall not swear by my name falsely, neither shalt thou profane the name of thy God.
Uh-huh.
I am the Lord.
Go ahead.
Thou shalt not defraud thy neighbor,
Uh-huh.
neither rob him. The wages of him that is hired shall not abide with thee all night until the morning.
Go ahead.
Thou shalt not curse the deaf, nor put a stumbling block before the blind.
See, the law, it goes all the way deep into it, don't it?
Yes, sir.
You know, one of the apostles of Jesus, he might mention it, but then when you go back and look at it, it gets pretty deep, don't it? It's more detailed. Go ahead and read some more.
Yes, sir. Nor put a stumbling block before the blind, but shall fear thy God. I am the Lord. Ye shall do no unrighteousness in judgment. Thou shalt not respect the person of the poor.
Oh, so they say thou should not respect the persons, right? He said thou should not respect the persons of the poor. You know, this guy, he got a lot of money. You really respect him and honor him and everything. But this guy's broke. Oh, man, get out of my face. You know how people do. Because somebody, is poor, they don't want to be around them. They don't want to be bothered with them. The Lord say don't have a respect to a person because you do what? You commit sin.
Teach.
Go ahead and read.
Thou shalt not respect the person of the poor, nor honor the person of the mighty. But in righteousness shalt thou judge thy neighbor.
See, he said you judge him in righteousness, whether he rich or whether he poor. You judge him in righteousness. Go ahead and read some more.
16. Thou shalt not go up and down as a talebearer among thy people.
Oh, we need to look at this, don't we? He said, don't go up and down as a talebearer. Always telling somebody's business. Here and there, you running telling folks' business. He said, thou shalt not go up and down as a talebearer. Go ahead.
Neither shalt thou stand against the blood of thy neighbor. I am the Lord. Thou shalt not hate thy brother in thine heart.
Oh, wait a minute. He said, thou shalt not hate thy brother in thy heart. Couple of y'all get into it and everything. Next thing you know, y'all make up and everything. But in your mind, you say, yeah, later on, I'm going to get him. He said, thou shalt forgive thy brother in thy heart, in your mind. Go ahead and read. Don't be saying yay or nay when you really mean, yeah, I'm going to get them. We cool, but then you're going to get them later on, though. When you forgive your brother, you forgive him in your heart. Go ahead and read, though.
Yes, sir. Thou shalt not hate thy brother in thine heart. Thou shalt in any wise rebuke thy neighbor and not suffer sin upon him.
Go ahead.
Thou shalt not avenge nor bear any grudge against the children of thy people. But thou shalt love the neighbor as thyself.
Oh,
I am the Lord.
You're supposed to love your neighbor as yourself.
Yes, sir.
You're supposed to love your neighbor as yourself. And if we did this, we would get along with people a lot better, wouldn't we?
Teach.
Let's go to Exodus the 20th chapter. Exodus the 20th chapter. And here's the 10 Commandments right here in Exodus the 20th chapter. And we're going to pick it up at verse 16. Verse 16. Go ahead and read.
Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor.
See, first the Lord tells you how to deal with him. Then he tells you how to deal with your neighbor. He said, thou shalt not commit adultery. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Verse 16. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Go ahead.
Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house.
Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house. You jealous and envious of your neighbor and his house and his goods or what the Lord has given him. But you can get it too, though. Go ahead and read.
Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor's.
Nor anything that is thy neighbor's. Nor anything. So That's the 10th commandment. Thou shalt not covet. Thou shalt not covet. That's the 10th commandment. Now, let's go to Romans, the 13th chapter, Romans 13. And we're going to pick it up at verse 8. Now look what love is. Now we're in Romans the 13th chapter. Now look what love is. Romans 13, and we're going to pick up at verse 8. Romans 13 and 8. Go ahead and read.
Owe no man anything, but to love one another. For he that loveth another hath fulfilled the law.
Oh, this is what you have fulfilled when you love another. You have fulfilled the law. Go ahead and read.
For this, thou shalt not commit adultery. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not bear false witness. Thou shalt not covet.
Now, why is he telling you all this after Jesus had died? You understand? Because, you know, brother, just a couple of days ago, you know, man, we ain't got to keep those commandments no more. I'm like, oh, okay, you can go and steal it. Well, just leave some money sitting on your car right there, and I'll steal it, and then and walk off and see what you say then. You ain't supposed to do that, no, because thou shalt not steal. That's why he said, I'm going to write the laws on your heart and on your mind. Because I already know that I ain't supposed to steal, but now you saying I ain't got to keep the commandments of the law, then that means I can steal your money then and not be guilty then, right? Go ahead and read.
And if there be any other commandment, it is briefly comprehended in this saying, namely, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself.
Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. Go ahead and read.
10. Love worketh no ill to his neighbor. Therefore love is the fulfilling of the law.
Love worketh no ill to his neighbor. Therefore love is what?
The fulfilling
of the law. You're not supposed to work no ill to your neighbor. We need to get this down inside of us. Because many of us, you know, we understand that we're supposed to keep the law and everything, but we don't always look at this side of the law that we're supposed to keep. You know, loving your neighbor as yourself and not being a respecter of persons and treating everybody the same. Treating everybody the same. Let's go now. Let's go to Proverbs, the 28th chapter. Proverbs 28. And we're going to pick it up at verse 21. Proverbs 28 and 21. Proverbs 28 and 21. Go ahead and read that.
To have respect of person is not good.
It is not good to have respect of persons. It is not good. Go ahead and read.
For a piece of bread that man will transgress. He that hasteth to be rich have an evil eye, and considereth not that poverty shall come upon him.
Let's skip down to verse 27.
He that giveth unto the poor shall not lack.
Wait a minute. You see that? He that giveth to the poor shall not lack. Because if you give to the poor, the Lord is going to take care of you. Read that again.
He that giveth unto the poor shall not lack. But he that hideth his eyes shall have many a curse.
Now you see that? He said if you give to the poor, you're not going to lack. But if you hide your eyes from them, the Lord said He's going to curse you. That's why, you know, most times I see somebody on the side of the road and they ask for money, hold up the signs and everything, I go ahead and give them something. And the Lord always afford me to give them something.
Yes, sir.
Because it's better to give than to receive, ain't it?
That's right.
And if you always giving it, then the Lord giving it to you so you can give it, right? You always got enough if you're able to give all the time, don't you? Let's go now. Let's go back to Leviticus, the 19th chapter. Leviticus 19. You always got it to give, then that means the Lord is taking care of you then, ain't He?
Yes, sir.
Leviticus 19 and 9. Leviticus 19 and 9. He said, you turn your eyes away from the poor and don't give them. then he gonna curse you. Look at this. Look how deep the Lord is with this. Not having respect of persons. And this is something that we need to look at. I mean, we hardly ever get into this part of the law. We hardly ever get into this part of the law. Leviticus 19:9. Leviticus 19:9. Go ahead and read it.
And when ye reap the harvest of your land.
Now look at what God Himself is doing for the poor. Look at what He's doing for the poor. Start it over.
And when ye reap the harvest of your land, thou shalt not wholly reap the corners of thy field, neither shalt thou gather the gleanings of thy harvest.
Go ahead.
And thou shalt not glean thy vineyard, neither shalt thou gather every grape of thy vineyard. Thou shalt leave them for the poor and stranger.
He said, thou shalt leave them for what? The poor and the stranger. So when you go harvest your land, don't harvest the corners, because the stranger or the poor person might want to come by there and get some beans or some corn or whatever it is. The Lord take care of the poor, don't He?
Indeed.
I'm talking about the righteous poor, the righteous poor. Because the book said this poor man cried and the Lord delivered him out of all his problems, didn't He?
That's right, brother.
But he was a righteous man, though. And that don't make no difference neither, because you poor. You still got to serve God.
Teach.
If you rich, you still got to serve God. If you middle class, you still got to serve God. But one thing about it, though, the difference is, if you're a poor man and you worshiping God, the Lord going to make sure you got what you need. He's going to make sure you got what you need.
That's
What verse you at?
The end of 10.
Go ahead.
I am the Lord your God.
All right, now let's go to James, the 2nd chapter, James 2, and we're gonna pick it up at verse 1. James 2:1. James 2:1. Go ahead.
My brethren, have not the faith of our Lord Jesus Christ, the Lord of glory, with respect of persons.
Go ahead.
For if there come into your assembly a man with a gold ring and in goodly apparel, and there come in also a poor man in vile raiment.
See, one guy, he coming in there sharply dressed and everything, he a wealthy man. The other guy coming in, he's not dressed properly, or like we used to say, we use that term bomb or whatever. We coming in with vile raiment on. Go ahead and read.
Verse 3. And ye have respect to him that weareth the gay clothing, and say unto him, sit thou here in a good place.
See, the one that's the wealthier guy, or the guy that's dressed well, you say, come sit here in a good place. Go ahead and read.
And say to the poor, stand thou there, or sit here under my footstool.
You tell the poor guy, get out of here. Get out of here, man. You see it sometimes. The guy or the person out there, they asking for change and money, and then the people that own the restaurant or the store where they try to get something to eat, I don't want them back in here. But the person that's dressed nice and well and everything, they say, come on in. But the one that's hungry and everything, they say, get out of here. Go ahead and read.
Verse 4. Are ye not then partial in yourselves?
Go ahead.
And are become judges of evil thoughts?
He said, you see what type of thoughts you got when you do people like this? Evil thoughts. Evil thoughts. Go ahead and read.
Hearken, my beloved brethren. Have not God chosen the poor of this world rich in faith? And heirs of the kingdom which he hath promised to them that love him?
See that? This who he chose. The ones that's poor, but what? Rich in faith. And heirs of the kingdom which he hath promised to them that love him. So a poor man, because he's poor, that don't mean he bad off, though, it doesn't.
No, sir.
If he rich in faith, he ain't bad off, is he? Because he got a great reward coming.
Yes, sir.
He got a great reward coming. Go ahead and read that verse 6.
6.
Uh-huh.
But ye have despised the poor.
Uh-huh.
Do not rich men oppress you?
Go ahead.
And draw you before the judgment seats?
Now let's go to Galatians, the 6th chapter. Galatians 6. Galatians 6. And I hope none of us are guilty of this. You know, and not respecting the poor, because the person is poor. Galatians 6 and 10. Galatians 6 and 10. Go ahead and read that.
As we have therefore opportunity,
Uh-huh.
let us do good unto all men.
And let us do good unto some men.
All men.
To all men. As we have opportunity, let us do good to all men.
Yes, sir.
Finish that.
Especially unto them who are of the household of faith.
Well, especially to the people that our brothers and sisters. Especially to them. Because the Lord, you know, although He gonna make sure everybody got something to eat, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's serving Him, He gonna make sure you got something to eat. But everybody ain't got money like the next man. Like me, I ain't got money like the next man. You understand? But He always made sure I have a place to stay and food in my mouth.
Yes, sir.
And clothes on my back.
Hallelujah.
Let's go now. Let's go to Psalms 37. Psalms 37. As you have opportunity, you do good to all men. All men. Psalms 37, and we're going to pick up at verse 23. Psalms 37 and 23. Go ahead and read it.
The steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord,
Uh-huh.
and He delighteth in his way.
Go ahead.
Though he fall, he shall not be utterly cast down, for the Lord upholdeth him with His hand.
Uh-huh. See, that's the good man. You know, it said the steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord.
Yes, sir.
And He delighteth in his way.
Mm-hmm.
Though he fall, he shall not be utterly cast down. You notice how a lot of times you don't see no way out. But then, just before you fall, the Lord catch you, don't He?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Just before you fall, He catch you. Because He gave you everything you, if you had everything you wanted, then what you need the Lord for? You understand what I'm saying? Sometimes the Lord bring you down to humble you. So that you can depend on Him. So that you can depend on Him. What verse you at?
25.
Go ahead.
I have been young,
Uh-huh.
and now am old.
Uh-huh.
Yet have I not seen the righteous forsaken,
Uh-huh.
nor his seed begging bread.
Oh, you see that? The Lord always take care of His servants, don't He?
Indeed.
You might not have a whole lot of money in the bank, or you might not have no big car, and and all of this. You might not have a car at all. But He gonna make sure you got what you need, don't He?
Yes, sir.
You got a house, you got food, you got clothes on your back. A lot of us take for granted that we could just go in our homes and our apartments and turn on the lights. We got running water. A lot of people don't have this. A lot of people don't have this. Some people living on the streets. What verse?
26.
Go ahead.
He is ever merciful and lendeth,
Uh-huh.
and his seed is blessed.
His seed is blessed. Even his children are blessed. But go ahead and read.
Depart from evil
Uh-huh.
and do good, and dwell forevermore.
He said dwell forevermore. That's talking about eternal life, ain't it?
Indeed. Yes, sir.
See, it is a reward in doing good. Because our country and our generation, they think bad is good, don't they?
Mm.
Everything is turned around now. Everybody, bad boys, what you gonna, it's always about being bad. means good now. But ain't nothing wrong with you doing good and being good, because there's great reward in that. One thing is, while you walk around here on this planet, the Lord going to take care of you. Then once you die, whatever, the Lord going to wake you up and give you salvation. What's better than that?
Nothing, brother. Nothing.
You know, I'd rather be a poor man than be a rich man and be a fool.
That's right.
And go into the lake of fire. Because, you know, this life is short. Relatively speaking, this life is short. But then once you go in the grave and come up out that grave, what's going to happen to you then? You got the rest of eternity to spend either in the kingdom or in that fire. And we don't want to go to that fire, do we?
No, sir.
So I'm letting you know now, all of us, this is a part of our walk too, how we treat our neighbors and how we supposed to conduct ourselves. This is a part of our walk too. Let's go now. Let's go to Proverbs 22. Proverbs 22. Proverbs 22, and we're going to pick it up at verse 1. Proverbs 22 and 1. Go ahead.
A good name is rather to be chosen than great riches.
You see that? A good name is rather to be chosen than great riches. I'd rather have a good name than great riches. Nobody likes you. You understand? You know, you're a tyrant. You understand? Nobody really likes you. But you got all this money. Then once you die, you can't take that money with you. But a good name is rather to be had than great riches. A good name where people like you. You understand? People want to be around you. People love you. The Lord loves you.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead and finish that.
Yes, sir. A good name is rather to be chosen than great riches, and loving favor rather than silver and gold.
And loving favor. You know, people love you. You love people, and they love you. Instead of, can't nobody talk to you, and can't nobody, you can't be easily entreated. Every time, somebody come around you, you arguing and hollering and cussing and all this stuff. But go ahead and read, though. Verse 2.
Verse 2. Yes, sir. The rich and poor meet together. The Lord is the maker of them all.
See, God, He made them both. You understand? Like I said, I'd rather be a poor man and faith in God than a rich man and be a fool. God made them both, though. Go ahead and read.
A prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself.
Go ahead.
But the simple pass on and are punished.
Go ahead.
By humility and the fear of the Lord are riches and honor and life.
Ooh. So this is how you got to start your walk, really, when it comes to serving God. Putting on some humility.
Yes, sir.
Because with stuff we're going to read today, you got to have some humility. And you got to fear God, too. Read that verse again. Verse 4.
Yes, sir. By humility and the fear of the Lord are riches and honor and life.
By humility and the fear of the Lord are riches and honor and life. By humility and the fear of the Lord. Because the fear of the Lord, that's the beginning of wisdom, ain't it?
Yes, sir.
Let's go now. Let's go to 1 Peter, the 5th chapter. 1 Peter 5. 1 Peter 5. And we're going to pick it up at verse 5. 1 Peter 5 and 5. 1 Peter 5 and 5. This is how you begin your walk right here. This is how you have to begin your... Because the way people sometimes treat, what way we treat each other sometimes, for you to put up with it, you got to put on some humility, don't you? You got to humble yourself. Especially Israel.
Yes, sir.
1 Peter 5 and 5. 1 Peter 5 and 5. Go ahead and read.
Likewise, ye younger, submit yourselves unto the elder. Yea, all of you be subject one to another.
All of you be subject one to another. Go ahead.
And be clothed with humility.
And be clothed with humility. Be clothed. You don't always, want to, everything got to go your way. You understand? Put on some humility. Take the low end sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Read that again.
Likewise, ye younger, submit yourselves unto the elder.
Show some respect to your elders. That's one of the things that my mama taught us. Respect your elders.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead and read.
Yea. All of you be subject one to another.
Go ahead.
And be clothed with humility. For God resisteth the proud and giveth grace to the humble.
Go ahead.
Humble yourselves therefore under the mighty hand of God.
Go ahead.
That he may exalt you in due time.
Oh, he's going to exalt you? You understand? You don't exalt yourself. God going to exalt you. That's why he said, humble yourselves under the mighty hand of God, that he may exalt you in due time. He'll exalt you in due time. And if he don't, then, okay, your main purpose is to get salvation, ain't it?
Teach.
That's our main purpose, to get salvation. Let's go to James now. James, the 3rd chapter. James 3. James 3, and we're going to pick it up at verse 13. James 3 and 13. 3 and 13. Go ahead and read it.
Who is a wise man and endued with knowledge among you? Let him show out of a good conversation his works.
Wait a minute. He said, who is a wise man endued with knowledge? See, because you got to have some knowledge being a servant of God.
Make that plain.
You got to have some understanding, right? He said, who is a wise man endued with knowledge among you? Let him show out what? A good conversation in his works. A good conversation. You know how sometimes you could be on the phone and you could talk to a person for hours? This is a good conversation, ain't it? Not talking bad all the time. Not bad stuff coming out your mouth all the time. Conversation, you're having a good lifestyle. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Because I guarantee you, something happened to you and you're on your sick bed, you're going to be thinking of all type of stuff that you should have done when you wasn't sick. You're going to be thinking about how you treated people. You understand? And how if you bring me out of this, I'm going to be a better person. And we don't want to get to that point, do we? We want to be at that point now where, we treat people right. We treat them good right now. That's the point we want to be at. That's the point. That's what God is trying to get us to do right now. Not wait till we get sick or almost dead. Now we thinking about all these things and then we gonna try to do this once you understand? No, let's do it now. Let's do this now. This is what he's trying to get us to see. Go ahead and read.
Yes, sir. Back at 13. Who is a wise man and endued with knowledge among you? Let him show out of a good conversation his works with meekness of wisdom.
With meekness of wisdom. With some humility, right? Go ahead and read.
14. But if ye have bitter envying and strife in your hearts, glory not, and lie not against the truth.
You see that? Bitter envy and strife in your heart, in your mind. You got the bitter envy and strife, and 9 times out of 10, when you argue with a person, that's what it's about. Somebody either envy or something, or because that's prevalent among Israel, ain't it?
Yes, sir.
We got that crab effect. Misery loves company. But if you have bitter envy and strife in your hearts, Glory not and lie not against the truth. Go ahead and read, because look what he's going to tell you what this is when you have this bitter envy and strife in your heart. Go ahead.
This wisdom descendeth not from above, but is earthly, sensual, devilish.
It is devilish. This is devilish. And we don't want to walk around devilish, do you?
No, sir.
I mean, you know, when you was a little kid and everything, you was mischievous and devilish. But you don't want to be like this while you're grown, do you? Go ahead and read.
For where envy and strife is, there is confusion in every evil work.
In every evil work. Go ahead.
But the wisdom that is from above is first pure, then peaceable.
Then peaceable. This is what we're looking for right here, aren't we?
Yes, sir.
Peaceable. Go ahead.
Gentle and easy to be entreated, full of mercy and good fruits.
Full of mercy and good fruits. Because sometimes we need to, have some sympathy for one another.
Yes, sir.
You understand? We need to have mercy towards each other. Somebody do something wrong, we ain't supposed to be going to beat them down. We're supposed to correct them with the spirit of meekness, don't we?
Yes, sir.
Because you know what? Your turn is coming sometime too. Your turn is coming too. Because ain't none of us perfect, are we?
Preach.
So we all got a turn coming, don't we? And if I do something wrong and everything, come and tell me too. We all can be reproved, all of us. And we're supposed to be able to accept that reproof too. Not blow up at each other and everything. Oh man, you don't tell me what to do and all that. No. We should be able to accept that reproof. Go ahead and read.
Yes, sir.
Read verse 17 again.
But the wisdom that is from above is first pure, then peaceable, gentle, and easy to be entreated, full of mercy and good fruits.
Go ahead.
Without partiality and without hypocrisy.
Go ahead.
And the fruit of the righteousness is sown in peace of them.
The fruit of righteousness is sown in peace of them. Go ahead.
That make peace.
That make peace. So when you make peace, that's what the Lord gonna give you. He gonna give you peace.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
When you make peace, that's what God gonna give you peace. He said, seek peace and pursue it. Pursue it. Because this is what we supposed to be looking for. You got guys, they fighting all the time. Yeah, man, go on get them. Come on, man, I'll take you over there. Wanting to fight all the time. I remember when I was younger, though, I used to try to break the fights up. Man, get out the way, Rodney. I remember that. And I was always for the underdog. I don't know what that was about, but anyway, let's go to Galatians, the 5th chapter. Galatians 5. Galatians 5, and we're going to pick it up in verse 22. Galatians 5 and 22. Galatians 5 and 22. We're dealing with how we're dealing with ourselves today and how we are supposed to conduct ourselves and how we're supposed to conduct ourselves with our neighbors and our brothers and our sisters. Galatians 5, and we're going to pick up at verse 22. Go ahead and read.
But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long-suffering.
You see that? Look at this. He said, but the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, and peace. And what? Long-suffering. Because we got to be long-suffering with each other. Especially us, especially those of the household of faith. Because why? We all we got.
Yes, sir. We
are all we got. But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, and peace, and long-suffering. Go ahead.
Long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, temperance. Against such, there is no law.
See, meekness and temperance, against such there is no law. Ain't nothing wrong with being meek and humble and everything.
Come on.
This is what state God wants us in. And we as servants should be different from everybody else, shouldn't we?
Yes, sir.
We're supposed to be different from everybody else.
That's right.
A person should be able to look at us and say, well, you know what, man? That's a good brother. That's a good sister. You don't never see them getting in no trouble You don't never see them in an uproar. And I know people like that. And I always tell them, man, I sure wish I had a spirit like yours. You know, because you meet people like they just nice.
Thank you, brother.
You know what I'm saying? They just nice. Now, oh, you're welcome, brother. Keep reading. What verse you at?
24.
Go ahead.
And they that are Christ have crucified the flesh with the affection and lust. If we live in the Spirit, let us also walk in the Spirit. Let us not be desirous of vainglory.
He said, don't be desirous of vainglory. Go ahead.
Provoking one another.
Provoking one another.
Envying one another.
Envying one. We're not supposed to be doing this. Provoking each other and envying one another. You know, always always starting discord. You know, it's always something with you or something with them. You know, servants of God are not supposed to conduct themselves like this. They're not supposed to conduct themselves like this. And we need to hear this, don't we?
Yes, sir.
We need to hear this because, you know, we get in here, we cool. You know, we all right. Well, once we get out there, how do we act? Because that's when the test really comes in. When you get out there, how do you act? Let's go to Luke, the 6th chapter. Luke 6. Luke 6, and we're going to pick it up at verse 27. Luke 6 and 27. Luke 6 and 27. And look what he called the law. Luke 6 and 27. Go ahead and read it.
But I say unto you which hear, love your enemies. Do good to them which hate you.
Oh, wait a minute now. He said, now, you know, if you got to love your enemy, what does that say for your brothers and sisters and everything? And your neighbor that ain't did nothing to you.
Come on.
You understand? You're supposed to love them. Now he's telling you to love your enemies. Now this going to take some work here, ain't it? That's why I say servant of God got to be different from everybody else. Because most people, they hate their neighbors, their enemies, don't they? But he's telling you, as a servant of God, love your enemies. Read that again.
Yes, sir. 27.
Uh-huh.
But I say unto you which hear, love your enemies. Do good to them which hate you.
Can you hear this? Can you hear this and understand this? I mean, let this sink down in us. He said, but I say unto you which hear, love your enemies, do good to them which do what?
Hate you.
Hate you. And you know you got people like that, don't you? For no reason, they hate you for no reason.
Oh, yeah.
And you know us, you know, it's always because of the word of God. You know. Well, go ahead and read.
Bless them that curse you. And pray for them which despitefully use you.
Ooh, now that's going to take some practice there, ain't it? But in being a servant of God, this is what you got to do.
It's written.
So to some of us, it's going to take longer than the other, ain't it?
Right.
But I say unto you, I'm sorry, verse 28, right? Bless them that curse you, and pray for them which despitefully use you. Now, you don't put yourself in a position that people, they ain't talking about, you know, every time they get a chance, let them use you. No, he ain't talking about that. You don't put yourself in that position. You understand? But when they do use you, you understand? Then that's all right, because the Lord going to deal with them. Vengeance is mine, said the Lord. I will repay.
That's right, brother.
Go ahead and read.
Yes, sir. 29.
Uh-huh.
And unto him that smiteth thee on the one cheek, offer also the other.
You know, this is going to take some practice here, like I said. What we read now, this is going to take some effort here, ain't it? You know, most of us, we love our neighbor as ourselves, and you know, and our brother and sister. But now, what about our enemy? You know they're your enemy. He telling you to pray for them, and you know, if they smite you on the cheek, you know, turn the other cheek and everything. Go ahead and read.
And him that taketh away thy cloak, forbid not to take thy coat also.
Go ahead.
Give to every man that asketh of thee.
Now he said, now wait a minute now. If you understand what you read, he said, give to every man that asketh of thee. So what if your enemy, you know, he asks of you? You're supposed to give him too, don't you?
It's written.
Give to every man that asketh of thee. Go ahead.
And of him that taketh away the goods, ask them not again.
Go ahead.
And as ye would that men should do to you, do ye also to them likewise.
Do unto others as you would have them to do unto you. Go ahead and read.
For if ye love them which love you, what thanks have ye?
Go ahead.
For sinners also love those that love them.
You see that? He said, if you love those that love you, then, you know, what good are you? I mean, the sinners, they do that. What's the difference between you and them then? Because there's got to be a difference between a servant of God and a sinner, right?
Yes, sir. Yes,
There's got to be a difference. So if you love them that love you, what's the difference with the sinner? He loved those that love him, don't he?
Teach, brother.
Go ahead and read.
33. And if ye do good to them which do good to you,
go ahead.
What thanks have ye? For sinners also do even the same.
They do the same thing. They do good to people that do, you know, thick as thieves, you understand? Go ahead and read.
34. And if ye lend to them of whom ye hope to receive,
go ahead.
What thanks have ye? For sinners also lend to sinners to receive as